Dan, I think that's probably enough from me. I know there's a lot to get through, so I'll hand over to you now.
Oh, perfect. Thanks very much. And yeah, and just to say, great to see so many people on the webinar today. Just to give you a little bit of background for myself and David, who's also on the meeting today. So we're consultants at Xero. We used to be accountants in practice before we joined Xero as well. So hopefully we'll be able to answer all them questions you're going to put in that Q&A box for David today. But just to run through, today we're going to be taking you through what MTD for income tax is, what it means for your business, and how early preparation is going to be key. So looking at the agenda for today, we're going to run through what MTD IT is and what it means for your business, talk about the software so you can get ready for it, also touch on the benefits and actually go into a product demo and see what it will look like doing your MTD filings as well, and then just follow up with some next steps and some Q&A for you as well. So knowing about making tax digital for income tax matters because for businesses like yours, MTD is going to mean more compliance requirements and also potentially a change on how you're keeping your business records at the moment. It's going to be a big shift, but it does also provide a great opportunity for you to get a deeper understanding of your business's financial health. So let's touch on more about what making tax digital is. So if we go all the way back to 2015, the UK government announced a plan to revolutionise our tax system. So the idea was to make it one of the most digitally advanced tax administrations in the whole world. So this actually led to MTD being introduced. And back in April 2022, MTD for VAT became mandatory for all VAT registered businesses. And we're now moving on to the next stage of MTD, and that's to tackle income tax. So self-employed people and landlords very, very soon will need to start following the new MTD for income tax rules and start filing income tax returns digitally. And under the MTD for income tax rules, you must use MTD compatible software, such as Xero, to keep your digital records, but also to send your updates through to HMRC. If we look at the current timeline, so back in April 2025, there was a HMRC public beta, so a testing phase that opened. And we've had lots of Xero customers that have joined that beta. So they've been doing effectively some testing with ourselves and with HMRC in terms of the record keeping and making them filings to make sure that everything's working perfectly. But from April 2026, it's going to come into effect for sole traders and landlords with qualifying income over £50,000. When we then go into 27, it will come into effect for sole traders and landlords with turnover above 30,000. And then finally in 2028, that threshold lowers down to 20,000. I will talk about how we need to identify if we do need to come into that phase, but I think really it's really important at the moment. I know we're in January 26, so this may affect you in April 26. So it is really important that we know how we look at that and how we can make sure that we're eligible and if we do need to join MTD. So in terms of getting ready for that deadline that's coming in April 2026, you'll need to see if your annual income is over that £50,000. If you do have lots of different sources of income, so you may have, for example, employment, self-employment, rental income, pension income, lots of different sources of income there. It is only on your self-employment income and your rental income. But if you have both, you need to add the two together. So if you make, say, £40,000 from your self-employment and £20,000 from rental income, you add the two together. So that would equal 60,000. So I would need to comply from April 26. And when we're talking about turnover, it's not profit, it's your income. So before any of that expenditure, that's the figures that we need to take into account to know if we need to register for April 26. You will need to have filed a tax return before. Tax return deadline, if anyone isn't aware, is 31st of January. So if you haven't filed your tax return for 24 to 25 yet, I would say you've only got about 10 days to do it. So I'd get it probably done sooner rather than later. But by getting that tax return completed, you will know what your income levels are and whether you are above that threshold as well. Similarly, if you're ahead of the game and you have got your tax return done already, or your accountant's done it for you, you've done it yourselves, you can go back and check it and just see what your income, so your turnover was from your self-employment and or your rental income as well, to see if you're above that deadline. So I guess it's really important that we look to start to prepare now, so we can avoid the stress of rushing to meet that deadline. Like, that deadline is April 26th that we need to register for if we are above that 50,000. There will be penalties that will be introduced with entity for income tax. There is a soft landing period for the first year, but after that, you'll start to get penalty points for things like late filing. And unfortunately, in this scenario, points don't mean prizes. They will eventually lead to fines. So yeah, it's really important that we just start to prepare as well, and just making sure that we're fully compliant with the new regulations that are coming in as well. Although, like, it potentially, we look at it and we think there needs to be more regular bookkeeping, there's going to be more filings, there are going to be benefits of MTD for income tax. So by using digital software, you can have a clearer view of your finances. So thinking about things like connecting up to your banks, credit cards, payment providers, bringing all that data into software. And you'll be able to do lots of forecasting and reporting. So it can help you with making financial decisions and proactive planning. Again, as your business starts to grow, you might think, well, actually, are we bringing in enough? Like, can I afford to take on my first member of staff and things like that as well? So it help with all that financial planning that you want to do. And also, it can automate regular tasks, so meaning that you're not spending time on manual processes. So think about sitting there and typing out information to spreadsheets, writing down receipts, manually sending invoices, and all them extra admin tasks. Using software is going to stream all of that process for you as well. So just to let you know what you'll need to do when you are enrolled in MTD for income tax. So you actually need to submit 4 quarterly updates. And then 4 updates will contain details of your income and expenditure. So that's going to be very different to the tax process at the moment, where it is 1 tax return a year, needs to be filed 31st of January. You are actually going to need to do 4 quarterly updates. So that first quarter will start from April, and the deadline for getting that first filing done will be around the beginning of August. So you'll do your 4 quarterly updates for the tax year. And then you'll submit something that's going to be called a final declaration. So the final declaration replaces that self-assessment tax return. And the deadline for that is still going to be your 31 January. So instead of just doing that 1 tax return a year, we're going to have to do 4 quarterly filings and also do a final declaration. And where that final declaration replaces self-assessment, just to let you know, the HMRC personal tax you won't be able to log into anymore and do your end of your tax return. You'll have to do the quarterly updates and that final declaration through software. There won't be the ability to do your tax return on the HMRC website anymore. You'll need to keep digital records. So MTD mandates that for businesses, you must keep your records digitally. So this includes records like your sales, your purchases, and any of your expenses. Some of you may already be doing this, and that's absolutely great. Like, that's the main thing that we need to make sure that we're covering off, that we're keeping them digital records. And then we will jump into the software a little bit later, and hopefully you'll see that once we have all that information in, how quick and easy it is to make them submissions. And then also we need to use MTD compatible software. So really your software needs to be able to manage and track digital records, and also ensure that it can send the submissions to HMRC as well. So if we can get the software as soon as possible, we can make sure that we're comfortable with how we use the software as well. And when we do need to make that first quarterly filing, we're ahead of the game as well. Just to touch on some extra bits that landlords need to take into consideration. So there's some different rules for landlords that have jointly owned property that's here as well. So there are some easements in terms of that for landlords of jointly owned properties. You can choose not to submit quarterly updates that contain your expenses relating to just the jointly owned properties. So you can put your expenditure through at the end of the tax year. And you can keep some less digital record requirements. However, if you're responsible for analysing the income and expenditure yourself, I probably wouldn't leave that till the end of the tax year. But it's just to let you know, if you've got some more complicated tax affairs and you've got lots of jointly owned properties, you can just submit your share of the income quarterly and do the expenditure at the end of the year, especially if someone else is responsible of analysing all that expenditure for you as well. So you can check out the HMRC guidance for that as well. So that's available on the website if you wanted to check that out as well. And then why going digital now is key. So if you start using suitable MTD software now for your record keeping, by the time that MTD for income tax does come in, you'll be familiar with it and you'll be confident about what you'll need to do. And by getting ready now, you can make sure the software is set up right, that you're keeping your business and personal expenses separate. You know how to do things like use the sales invoicing and potentially payment services if you want to take in-person payments or direct debits and card payments as well. And I guess if you get started on the software as soon as possible, you'll start to see the benefits. So no longer will you have to be manually typing out records and collating receipts and bits and pieces at the end of the year. Plus, like if you've got any like teething issues with the software, like you can contact their support team or do the training and webinars, and you're ahead of really when you need to send them quarterly updates. But just thinking about getting started, like there's some few simple things that we can do just to make sure that your records are kept online and accurate. So think about having a separate bank account for your work expenses, for your rental expenses. So if you do just have one bank account and you're running all your personal expenditure through there, so your food shopping, your Netflix subscriptions, and then also all your business income and expenditure, it's going to take you more time to analyze all that out as well. So thinking about the bank feeds, and if you think about Xero, like you can connect business bank accounts, you can connect personal bank accounts. So how you're managing that, I just recommend having just a separate bank account, so you know everything that goes through the bank is work related. We can record that on the software, and that will be going through on our updates. And then we're not sitting there and sort of like manually taking out or deciding these things don't need to go through. That's all personal expenditure. Again, things like taking photos of receipts as well. So HMRC allow you keeping digital records for receipts. So again, like if you can record, take photos, put that against a transaction on the software, it does mean that later down the line, if you ever need a copy of the receipt, it's all stored digitally as well. You haven't got your boxes in your house, in your office, in your loft or somewhere with all them old paper receipts as well. So I think that's going to be a massive benefit as well. And then just making sure that you're tracking your income and expenses. So like, do things look right? Like just reviewing that data as well. So like if we start as soon as possible, we might have our own idea of our income and expenditure. Like, do things look right? Like, am I recording the data in the right way? Am I putting it to the right category? Because again, where we're coding things to means that that's where they're going to go in the quarterly updates. And we will see that a little bit later as well. And then looking into MTD software. So for anyone that hasn't heard of Xero before, like Xero is really powerful, but it's also easy to use. And the good thing is that it's online accounting software. So don't need to download desktop software. You can access it through an app, through a browser on your computer or on your tablet. So wherever you've got an internet connection device, you can get onto it as well. It's MTD compliant, HMRC recognised, and designed to make all your everyday accounting tasks simpler. We also automate the data entry. So we've got really easy bank reconciliation where you can connect bank feeds. So live bank transactions are coming into the software for you. So not having to manually enter it on in there as well. And we've got really quick and easy invoicing tool to use if you want to use it for invoicing to send them out to clients. We've got tools for data capture. So that's thinking about all them receipts and bills that you've got. You can take a photo on your phone and Xero will put off like things like who it's for, the date and amounts and bits and pieces. So again, you're not even typing out the information on them receipts as well. You can also see you can view and have up-to-date financial data. And it's also really easy to share your access, so unlimited users. So if you do use an accountant or bookkeeper and you want to invite them in, you can do. Or if you've got someone that you want to help you out with your records keeping as well, you can have as many users in there as you want to as well. And we've also got visual dashboards and customizable reports. So it means that you can make them smart, informed decisions about your business as well. So looking at Xero as a solution, so all the way from connecting your bank and capturing receipts to sending invoices and doing that routine bookkeeping, Xero helps you stay on top of your also everything for MTD for income tax, but also giving you the control of your business finances so you can make some more informed decisions. We've got a very of different business plans, so you'll see them available on the website, so designed to meet your specific needs. But the good news is that as your requirements grow and as your business scales, you can change through the different plans. So all of our plans that we have available that you'll see through the website as well have the MTD for income tax filing capabilities. So again, like the Xero Simple is a great plan to start off on, especially if you're not VAT registered, you know that you need to comply, whether that's this year, next year, 2028. But as the business starts to grow, so maybe we need VAT filing, we can move from a simple to an Ignite. And then again, if the business starts to grow even more and we actually start to take on sort of staff and that, we could maybe upgrade to a grow. So it works that you can go up and down the ladder. So really just to suit what fits your business and what needs that you have from the software as well. But having a look at our starting plan, so that's the Xero Simple. So the Xero Simple plan supports non-VAT registered sole traders and landlords. A really unique selling point of Xero as well is that you can handle multiple sources of income inside one Xero subscription. So if I had a Xero Simple and I needed to do filings for my self-employment and also my rental income, so for landlords, I could do that inside that one Xero, which is a unique selling point. I know there's a lot of software where you'd have to pay for one subscription for your self-employment and then another one for your property, and then you're kind of doubling up on the record keeping tasks you have to do. So in Xero, you could do that in separate subscriptions, or you could do that all in that one place as well. It also includes invoicing, so you can create and send professional invoices and quotes up to 10 a month. And we've got data capture built on there with HubDoc, so you can capture all them receipts and take them photos, automatically bring in the bank transactions directly from your bank. We can import them as well. And you'll also be able to send your quarterly income tax updates and do your final declarations from that Xero. So that final declaration is effectively that end of year tax return. But again, if your business is VAT registered or you've got other needs, you can use any of the Xero business plans for MTD for income tax. And then just some of the reasons why you might look at Xero. So just to let you know that we've got over 4.2 million subscribers that use Xero globally at the moment. So we are a large company. We've got lots of users on the software. We did a survey on 858 small businesses back in May 24, and 90% of them agreed that Xero is easy to use, and 93% said that Xero helps them run their business more smoothly. So hopefully there's some good stats in there for you as well. We also won Bookkeeping Software of the Year last year at the ICB Awards, which is, great for us. And also another really good stat that I like is that we know that cash flow is really, really important for small businesses as well. And based on the data that we've got as well, we know that businesses that use online invoice payments, so whether that's attaching card payments, bank transfer, or direct debit, which you can all do in Xero as well, we know from the data that businesses get paid up to twice as fast. So if cash flow is potentially an issue for you at the moment, or you want to increase that cash flow, like online invoicing and using the payment services is a great way that we can do that as well. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to quickly jump into Xero, just so we can have a very quick look at the product. And then what I'll do is I'll jump in and we'll have a look at getting our first quarterly filing made and how that process will look as well. So I've just logged into my Xero and I've come to the dashboards. And really, when we're thinking of getting started, it's thinking about what features are going to be great for us to use to start running our business. So we can see that I've got some bank accounts connected up. I've got my bank account connected up to Xero, and I've also got my credit card in there as well for the business. So my transactions are coming into the system in real time. So I'm not having to enter these transactions in. They are pulling through straight to the system. I can see everything that's come through. I can see we've got a payment there for British Gas, and Xero is intuitive. So we'll remember as we start to put transactions in. So that was for light, heat and power, gas bill, that'll do. We click OK. Once I've done it the first time, you can see that Xero starts to remember. So it makes life a lot quicker in terms of processing. So I can just click OK and process that through. So the bank fees are a really good feature, or importing that data as well. And again, like if anyone is doing manual invoicing at the moment, so whether they're using sort of doing that manually and then emailing it out, or even handwritten invoicing, we can do invoicing straight from the website. We can do it from our phone, and it's super simple to use and fill out, and I can store all my customers' details in there as well. So might decide to do an invoice to David now, and I can put that into the system, email it out straight from here as well. And again, with the payment services, we can see there I've got the banner that I started to set up Stripe. So again, like if we set up Stripe, we can take Visa, MasterCard, Amex, Apple Pay, and Google Pay. So they can get sent an invoice out through. Click onto that, enter their card details, and get that invoice paid. Or if we're in person, we've either got an Android or an Apple, so iOS. We can download the Xero app and set up tap to pay. So if I'm in person with a client, I could raise an invoice on the go and actually use my phone almost like a card machine. So David could tap his phone against mine to pay me. But if it is over the contactless limit, he would just need to put his PIN number into my phone. I can take that payment in person as well. So if that feature there is there, so if it works for you, that's absolutely great. And again, we've got some reporting that's on here as well. I can see my recent invoice payments. But again, I can run things like I can go to the reporting and look at some of the dashboards that's on here maybe. So have a look at cash flow manager, have a look at that business health scorecard and see how my business is performing at the moment. So lots of reporting available to you. So really it's deciding like what are going to be the best features for you to use, what are going to benefit you. But as long as you're getting the record keeping done, so we're recording our income and our expenditure, that's what we need to be doing on the software. And that's what's going to form our quarterly updates. So in the background, I have been recording all of my income and expenditure. And now I'm ready to go through. I need to file my first MTD for income tax filing. So along the top banner, we have a tax section, and that's where MTD for income tax will live. At the moment, we are in the beta. So if you wanted to try it early for this tax year, you would need to register with HMRC and also register for Xero for the beta. But we will have that functionality rolled out for everyone before that April deadline to comply as well. But it will live in that tax drop down. And if we are connecting up ourselves, we'll need to use our personal tax login that we already have for HMRC. Hopefully everyone set up their own personal tax account with HMRC, but if not, you'll just need to go to the website and get that all set up and register yourself for MTD. But in the background, I've been keeping all my record keeping, and I'm now ready. I need to send my first quarterly update. So in Xero, I can click view to view that quarterly update. And based on all the information that I've entered, Xero has populated my income and expenditure for me as well. And all that we need to file quarterly is just the income and expenditure. If you do your own tax returns at the moment, for example, and you're familiar with that process, you can start to do things during the year that you would normally leave when you're filling out that tax return and finding that through. But I can start to do things like disallowable expenses, any adjustments, but also include any additional sources of income I've got. So maybe I've got pension income, child benefit charge, or foreign income, or whatever it may be. You can start to do that as you go along on Xero and save yourself time at the end of the tax year. But just to be really clear, all that needs to be sent on these quarterly updates is just your income and expenditure. So again, like maybe you've got an accountant at the moment that's doing your tax returns, that's absolutely fine. You might want them to do your quarterly updates and your final declaration for you. But again, like for example, you could use Xero if you want to do the record keep and do your quarterly updates yourselves, and then you could just get your accountant to do the final declaration, that final tax return if you want to. So if you are using an accountant advisor, it's probably worth speaking to them pretty soon if you know you need to comply in April, and just deciding like who's going to do what and what that workflow is. But again, if you do want to manage everything yourselves, you can do your quarterly updates. So file your income and expenditure through to HMRC on Xero, and then do your final declaration. So your end of year tax return on Xero as well. So I'm going to send my first update through to HMRC. Again, I can click onto any of the categories, see all the transactions, review everything, make sure I'm happy where things have gone to, and change anything if I need to. But I have reviewed everything, and I'm happy that everything is in the right place and everything's been included. So I can send that through to HMRC. So I'll send my first quarterly update through. And then what we get back in the software is a tax calculation, which has been done by HMRC. But we'll also include a nice tax report inside the software view so you can see how that has been broken down. So what we'll get back from HMRC is anything that you filed for MTD. So that'll be from self-employment and from UK land and property. Also, what we can get back from HMRC is any employment income. So if you do have another job where you're on the payroll as well, that information will come down into the tax report. So will any state pension. And if anyone is CIS, you'll get any CIS coming back down into this report as well. So it may not include absolutely everything that you need to take into account for your tax affairs. However, it will give you a good idea based on the information that they have, what you filed from MTD, what they've got for your employment, your state pension, any CIS. You'll see that we have a tax calculation. So you can see that in year. So as you start to do your quarterly updates, hopefully you'll get a better insight to potentially what your tax is going to be due at the end of the tax year. And especially if you are using Xero, you can add in at any point any additional incomes or release that you have. So I have some bank interest that I've got. So I've popped that on myself that's in here as well. But again, it's totally up to you if you want to put that in and include it. But you can see we've got that full calculation to see how it's been broken down, how my tax has been calculated. Again, I'd put in that I had some bank interest as well. Any release from the software, any national insurance, and we can see the total tax is due. And there's also a HMRC calculation ID at the bottom, just to show that that has come back from HMRC. So hopefully, just running through that is just to show you that hopefully there are benefits to doing this as well. We're going to have better insights to our business. We're going to get an in-year tax calculation back from HMRC that we can look through and see how that's looking as well. And inside Xero, we'll pull back any HMRC messages that you may get back from there as well. So again, that'll all be surfaced in the software, so you don't need to log in and double check that as well. So hopefully some real clear and key benefits that you can have there on Xero for the software. And hopefully it highlights that actually some of the work that the main work that needs to be done is actually getting onboarded onto software, setting up our invoicing, potentially connecting our bank or taking photos of that process. Like as long as we're doing that regular bookkeeping, hopefully the quarterly filings should be nice and quick and easy because we do all that record keeping and that will pull through into the software for us as well. So hopefully that demonstration of how the quarterly updates will look is really useful for you. What we'll do now is we'll flick over back. So I know that David's been busy working through some of these and I can see we've had loads of questions through. And maybe David, you might want to come off mute or maybe you want to answer some more questions you haven't got to, or maybe fire some my way. We can clear off any other questions that people have had.
Yeah, sure, no worries. I think I've mostly been keeping up to date with them, but I've got a couple left if you wanted to field some with me, Dan. But I have Xero, but can't see this MTD section in the tax drop down. So with that, this will all be launched in time, ready for April 2026. So you will get an update if it's not showing already in your Xero subscription. Just please make sure that when you do finally find that tab, then you can then you follow the instructions and make sure you are actually registered for MTD for income tax through the HMRC website, etc. One from Jacqueline as well. So, is the personal allowance amount correct? It doesn't appear to be prorated properly. So, I believe that with MTD for income tax, all of the figures are cumulative. So, it won't be prorated per quarter because you will be submitting these updates with cumulative totals, and so it will take into account the entire period. That is all I have for now, but I am happy for any other questions to come through. Get typing quick.
Yeah, I was going to say there will be a follow-up email sent afterwards as well. And we've got loads of resources available on our website, and you're more than welcome to contact our support team who will be able to answer some MTD queries as well. And we have got an exclusive offer as well if you wanted to get onto Xero and start trying that early. So we've got 95% off for 6 months. So nearly free, but 95% off is quite a big discount. So on that follow-up email, there'll be a link as well. If you do want to try Xero, we're just offering 95% off for 6 months for you as well.
Thank you
Um,
both so much. You've done such a phenomenal job there of going through all that information so clearly and answering those questions so well. So thank you both. As Dan and Dave said, if you have got any questions, do pop them in the chat or the Q&A now, or forever hold your peace. Oh, there we go. A few have popped in.
yeah. Do you want me to go through them?
Go for it.
Yeah, why not? We've got more time. So what about partnerships? Thankfully, for anyone with partnership income, that is outside of the scope of MTD for income tax. For now, can you go back and start on your digital system from April 2025 for the year to April 2026? Absolutely. We think that's a really good way for you to start benefiting from the software as quickly as possible. Use all of Xero's amazing reporting tools and things like that. And you'll also be able to start maybe making some bank rules or start setting up Xero so you're ready to deal with any information ready for April 2026. And do remember you do have the HMRC beta as well. If you wanted to go to their website and review if that's available for you. Uh, I use my oh, they're coming through thick and fast now, guys. I use my business Xero provided by my accountants. Can I add Xero for MTD to use on the same PC? Absolutely, assuming that it is the same business that is where MTD for income tax will apply. It might be that you need two separate subscriptions because you are using it for separate businesses or something like that. However, I will say that you are able to deal with multiple income streams within a subscription, as Dan said earlier. So perhaps speak to your accountant on that. Um, what is covered in the term bills on the Ignite software compared to Simple? So for the most part, MTD for income tax and is on a cash basis, and so therefore the Simple subscription has been set up to deal with spend and receive monies rather than bills and invoices for an accruals basis. What bank accounts are compatible with Xero? Last time I checked, we had over 300 financial institutions and banks that are set up with bank feeds. So chances are that all of the main high street banks, all of the challenger banks, should have a bank feed that is set up. Feel free to just go into Xero on the website. I think you can find whether your bank is covered anyway through Xero Central. But if you start setting up a Xero, go to bank accounts as Dan is doing at the moment, you'll be able to search and see all of the banks that are available with bank feeds on there and instructions on how to set them up. Um, how is joint property income added? 100% will allow correct bank reconciliation, 50% might not. Um, so at the minute, we're looking at sort of ready for MTD for income tax. You will be able to utilize tracking categories to split any joint property income and expenditure. So that might need a bit of help from Xero support or something, or looking through Xero Central if you need more guidance on that. But we are and will be set up ready for dealing with that. So do not worry about your joint property income. Um, will the requirements for payments to HMRC change under MTD? And there's currently no plans to change the rate that you pay. So it will be once you have completed your final declaration and you have the figure to pay for your tax, you'll still need to pay that by 31st of January. They're not expecting quarterly payments. Last one from John Greenstreet. How do we set up the account codes to ensure HMRC will get their tax estimates right, property loan interest, etc.? So you have the option of using our report code mapping in Xero. There are some really intuitive tools on how that can be done quite quickly, mapping up different account codes to the relevant tax categories on HMRC. And then any actual accounting adjustments, such as property loan interest and things like that, will be dealt with in the final declaration, unless Dan wants to put me right on that.
No, pretty right. I was going to say there's a few bits in the chat as well. I've pulled out a couple of bits. So one here is the Xero support free. Yes, the support is free and unlimited. So raise as many tickets as you need to get the answer. So it is web based. So you raise a support ticket. It'll go to the relevant team. And although we don't have an incoming phone number, just pop in your message. You would like a phone call and they will give you a ring. So it just means that the right person can answer your question. They'll give you a call back as well. So like any questions at all, like do feel free to put them through. So it's unlimited and free support included with Xero as well.
Important to add as well that you're always speaking to a Xero employee, and our support follows the sunrise. So if it's in business working hours in the UK, you'll be speaking to someone in Milton Keynes or Manchester, and then move to our other offices around the globe.
Amazing. Someone's just asked there about how long the discount codes last. They're not quite ready to subscribe yet. I don't know if either of you would know the answer to that one.
No, so we changed them a little bit as well. I'm sharing my screen at the moment, but I do have the link to the promo, so I can see if I can very quickly just see when that runs out. But I do say like our promos change time to time. So that specific promo is better than the one that we currently have on the website. But that promo is actually available until 31st of March this year. However, if you're maybe not ready to get started now, if you haven't done last year's tax information, that question we had before was really good. So could I actually do from April 25? So a lot of the banks, as a minimum, allow you to start the bank feed back from a year ago. So if you were to set it up now, you could start it all the way back from April 25 and do this tax year if you wanted to. So I'd always say, yeah, have a think about that possibility. Have I done my record keeping for this tax year yet or not, or started it? It's an opportunity to take the software and actually get all of this year's done first of all as well.
Amazing. I will say as well, we've got our new Small and Mighty program, which we do with Xero, coming out in just a few weeks. And we often have codes as part of that. So if you aren't ready, maybe sign up for that next program, because you never know, it might be something you can do later down the line. Thank you both so much. I think the questions have finally started to slow down. We really appreciate you taking the time and sharing your insights today. Do look out, everybody joining the call, for an email with us tomorrow with links to the resources that we mentioned on the call, as well as the discount code and this recording as well. Any final points before we close out? No?
Well, everything from me.
Amazing. All right. Thank you all so much for joining, and we hope to see you really soon. Take care.
Thank you, guys.